Hi, I'm Jendella Benson, and this is Shut Up and Write, a quick fire fiction craft writing workshop that should hopefully get you out of your head, stop talking to yourself, and actually write in the book that you've said that you really want to write. If you don't know my credentials, go back to episode 1 because I'm about to get straight into episode 3, and today we are talking about place. Now, Place is actually my second favorite character to write. Place is not just simply a backdrop, it's not just a cardboard scene that your character is moving through. Place is a living and breathing thing that should be interacting with your character, reflecting back to them, and just generally adding more than just like pretty scenery to your book. The place that your characters inhabit will actually say so much about your characters, potentially even more than what they actually say with their mouths, because through place you can say things about your character that maybe they can't vocalize for themselves. They can reflect how the character sees the world or how they see themselves, and ultimately they are another thing for your character to bounce off of, even if there is no one else in the scene. Now, when people talk about Place and my work, they tend to talk about Hope and Glory because it was set in Peckham, and Peckham is an important part of the narrative in terms of where Glory returns back to and how that reflects her psyche and what she thinks about Peckham in terms of where she thinks about herself in life. Like, that's quite obvious. But for all that we've got, even though it was set in like a fictional city, I actually think I spent even more time thinking about Place. The size of the city was really important in terms of Mimi and how she is trying to escape her former church community. The location was really important in terms of Abby and the trouble that her and her friends get into, as well as its relation to cities like Bristol or Birmingham and London when the riots in their city break out. And that's even before we get into the more intimate spaces that the characters inhabit, such as Mimi's bedsit with her downstairs neighbor, or Abby's empty house, or Vicky's flat where Abby and her friends end up. You can't take for granted that the reader is going to understand the significance and the importance of these places and what they say about your character unless you are really intentional about how you write about place and how you describe it. The way that a character moves through a place or space is really important. For example, when they come to the door, do they kick open the door? Do they open it really carefully and close it really gently? What is the first thing that they notice when they enter this space? In contrast to that, what's the first thing that their love interest or nemesis notices when they enter the space? How do these little details tell a story about the characters in that scene? Okay, so now for your writing prompt, I want you to think of a place or space that is really important to your character. It could be their bedroom, their desk at work, their car, or it could be a private corner of a public space like a library or a restaurant. Now, I want you to close your eyes and truly imagine yourself in that space from the character's point of view. I want you to really go there. So if you need to write it out, if you need to draw it out, whatever you need to do, you really need to feel it. And then I want you to imagine your character coming to that space as a place of refuge after having a really big emotional moment. It could be positive. They could have just got some amazing, exciting news and they just need a moment to themselves to like process it. It could be negative. They've just had a massive blow up argument with someone that they care about and they're running to this space to kind of console themselves. Now, how does their emotional temperature interact with the space around them? What do they notice? How do they touch things? How do they move? What are the things in this very familiar space that console them or irritate them? I want you to think about all of these details and I want you to write out that scene in as much detail as possible. If you enjoy doing this exercise, there are more exercises and more thoughts about place and every other episode of this series in the Shut Up and Write workbook. But I'm going to shut up, you're going to go write,